welcome everyone. How's everyone holding up? Everyone doing all right?
Yeah.
Well, as you can tell, we can only do things on this project.
Right.
Yeah, fully co.
Well, let's start to you and to Sarah and Alan a little bit. Just give us a little bit about how the concept came about for the pilot.
Alan and ours relationship is founded on us not getting along very well, but also getting along in not getting along.
Yeah, it's fun ribbing and of one another.
Right.
We were trying to think of like a project to work on and incorporate it, because also it's been entertaining for other people to watch. So I like pitched this idea and she was like, yeah, let's do that. So we wrote it.
Yeah, I think it was Alan and I met years ago and went on one date and did immediately not get along. But then it just became a friendship of us kind of battering each other in a joyful way. And then
what if we brought another little human being into the world that had to deal with this?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I remember Alan first meeting you. We were at a restaurant in Brooklyn, and you went, "You're the worst." I love it.
That's when we first met. I thought we met at New Year's.
Yeah, no, that was the second time we met.
That was really, because I remember you the first time.
Great. I like that line needs to get into one of the future episodes.
Yeah.
I love it. I like that. Amazing. And Miles and Kendall, how did you get brought onto the project?
I lived with Alan, unfortunately, not too long ago, and it was a full nightmare. And then Alan actually tried to introduce Sarah and I. Sarah, I mean, in addition to being the director of this project, I'm also Sarah's boyfriend. I knew Alan and knew that he was a nightmare, and being in the same room as both of them can be chaos often. And so they kind of had this great idea, and I was kind of the guy who knew how to do the camera stuff and the sound stuff and do the production stuff. So they asked me if I wanted to be involved, and absolutely, because they're both immensely talented. And Kendall, so initially it actually was just the three of them, and I
didn't know how to do anything technical.
Yeah. Right. And they were like, do you want to help like shoot and stuff like that? And I was like, absolutely. So I came in to DP it and stuff like that. And then Kendall very kindly asked me if I wanted to co-direct with her.
Yeah, because I didn't know what I was doing. But yeah, I think the thing is, like, we're all really close friends, and so it was an easy, thing to fall into together. And yeah, I came on during the writing process, and the characters were already fully formed. The script is not really exaggerated. This is kind of who they are, and it was really fun to write for them, and then also to see them on set, riffing, and there was a lot of ad-libbing and stuff. So,
and the show that we shot it at is the house that me, Miles, and Kendall all live in. So.
Yes. That's right.
Are you all there now?
We are. We thought it'd be fun if we were in different Zoom lenses.
And Alan calls us every day because he's jealous he doesn't live with us.
Yes, that's true.
Where is this house located? Are you all in New York?
No, we're in Los Angeles, yeah.
Oh, okay. Got it. Mm-hmm. Well, very nice. I think the cast is obviously amazing. You had some great, supporting actors, but your lead little kid is so fantastic. And I just had to ask Aaron, like, where did you find him, and how did he get? Like, he was so great. He has so many little moments that you guys obviously clearly captured and worked on, but he was wonderful. I was just curious where you found him.
Alan,
Access.
Mm-hmm.
He's the star.
We did a post. We did auditions.
I thought you were going to say he's living in the house with you guys.
Oh yeah, he's our roommate. He's kind of messy, but
no, we held auditions, which was such a weird process to see child actors, and it was adorable. They were all very, very cute, but he was someone that was comfortable and loving and very funny in the audition.
Yeah, and I remember actually we were like, I think he's a weird kid in the best way. He's like very eccentric, and also he ran the set. Like when he was in any scene, he would just be like, I don't really want to do that. Like you guys are boring. Like he's such a character, and so
all of them were playing video games like in between. It was very
yeah.
they're playing Super Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
I love it. You know, it's
Nice.
yeah. I mean, it makes sense hearing you're all friends. I mean, I think the chemistry really comes across. I mean, the chemistry is just so strong in the pilot, and that's really hard to do. You know, and I think it helps obviously clearly that you guys all have relationships. But I watch so many series, and you like have to get past the pilot because like they're still figuring out who each other are and all that kind of stuff. And what's so nice is the second you two appear on screen, you're just in it because the chemistry is so strong. And I wanted to talk a little bit too about the tone, because the tone of this, it's sort of, it's a little bit whimsical, funny, it's super charming. But you tackle some serious subjects in there too, a little bit about, this in the pilot specifically about private school versus public school and some just real life issues. And I just wanted to hear a little bit about, the writing and had you always kind of intended it like that? Did it read differently off the script, things like that?
Well, I think like Alan and I grew up both not like wealthy kids. We both were with kids, we describe it as parents that have like asked for coins in the seats, but it was about like a non-traditional family, that is making its way. And I think I grew up with two moms. Alan grew up with a single mom, and I think that was part of it. Of I want to see more of that on. I'm, like, you're like, wait, most of the world is not super wealthy, like, even though private school is like an aspect that we could not have been a possibility, but of how do young people like with kids make it, which I think we sometimes ignore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that like there's also that aspect because her character, like it's alluded to that her parents have money, having that smaller dynamic. Cause I know that I've had to deal with that with friends of mine because I lived in New York and I lived here, and there's a lot of friends who just implicitly don't understand where they came from a little bit and the like socially what that does to you going to the private school versus public.
Any good fun stories while you were shooting or big challenges you overcame?
From a production standpoint, we had like Kendall and I mean, it was my first time directing something on this scale, and I think for Kendall too. So we definitely like there was a lot of times I feel like Kendall definitely tried to take the attitude of like, Kendall was just like, we should just let them kind of go, like let them get a little bit on each other's nerves and stuff like that, and kind of let that fester. But a lot of the outdoor scenes, like we shot we shot over a couple nights, but it was insanely windy, so I kept having to I like had borrowed lights. Everything we did was very bootstrapped. Like my friend in our first AC, Jonathan Hebert, he shot the whole thing with me, and we like were just like friend favor borrowing his camera. We rented a second one and we cross shot the whole thing so that we can make sure their chemistry was like, if they riffed or whatever, we would have coverage of both of them. But I remember we definitely had a night where like the wind was so crazy. I kept having to be like, all right, everybody, like hands on the lights, because they might fly away and like we don't own them and things, like I want to have to pay for them.
We also put up a lot of fake lost cat flyers that people stopped and like examined and thought were real, and it was actually a Photoshop of our friend who played that character's head on my body with my cat.
Yeah, Kendall had done a kitty photo shoot with her cat, and we took that photo.
At the time, which is terrible.
It's kind of funny.
I gotta go back and see if I noticed that now.
Yes, it is not his body.
But there's lots of people stopping to look at, oh, this cat is lost. And we're like, we have to remember to take all these down.
The second week, so we shot 4 days for the whole thing, which in itself was a task. But the whole second weekend, I was sick and just dealing with an emotional nightmare of a woman who destroyed me. So they were very patient.
Something was sad, so we really had to fight through that.
Yeah, we had to make sure Alan was cheerful because he was,
crying.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Rightfully so.
But you look all cheerful today, so that's
Yeah.
Yeah.
on the other side.
Yes, you got through it. It was.
I've survived.
Good. Glad to hear that. So we're actually down to our final question here. I mean, I could talk to you guys all day. But I guess my final question is, do you want to give us a little teaser of maybe what some future plot episodes look like or what the season arc looks like?
Yeah, Kendall, do you want to, or Alan, do you want to, what's a...
I think that like
Yeah.
we have so much to mine from because I think nobody's really seen this particular situation, and like people who, you know, normally in their 20s would be partying or whatever, actually parenting, and like the whole thing of like anything you say and do can totally fuck up your kid for life, and all these sort of just like small details that would not mean much just between the two of them, but because they have a kid, it's like a lot heavier. And so, yeah, I think that just the honestly, like the Alan and Sarah are two of the funniest comedians I've ever met. So I got lucky to hitch my wagon to them. But yeah, I think they can make even the most mundane storyline pretty hilarious.
I really feel Sarah and I both have the capability in our personal lives to make mountains out of molehills. Mm-hmm. So I think that there's so much there to mine from, like an entire episode of us debate it, like what pizza are we going to get for dinner?
Mm-hmm. A screaming match. But yeah, I think it's like these relationships and how do you build what Kendall and Alan were saying, like how do you continue to build your young adult, like your late 20s, early 30s, which like, you know, we've been lucky to, I partied through, you know, but to have like a kid in a relationship and like what is their relationship, you know, and we still don't, I think we're still figuring that out, like because I have a close friend who has a kid with someone, they just recently got divorced, but he's like, I want it to work so much because man, it would be easier, you know, and can you maintain that relationship through, you know, surviving, you know, every day of all these big decisions that are usually meant for couples that are together and don't live together, you know?
Yeah. A lot more bad dates, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your series with us. We're so excited. I'm excited to get to know you further as we move into SeriesFest in June. And hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for putting this on. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.